Hola clase, hablemos sobre los indefinidos, or indefinites. Before I move on, I should start by just reminding you guys how to take notes because some of you have not done it before and some of you it's been a while. When you're taking your notes, you should write down everything that's typed on the screen nicely and neatly. When in doubt, skip lines. And in addition to writing down everything that you see, make sure you listen to what I'm saying because I might ask you to write down additional information. And if you forget to write that down, you might not get your completion points for completing the notes. And you might miss something important that can help you later on a quiz or a test or assignment. Okay, so we use indefinites when we're expressing nonspecific quantities. And when we use them as an adjective, which means directly before a noun to describe it, or as a pronoun, taking the place of the noun, the indefinite word must match in number and gender. And also, as always, if when you're taking notes you're like, I'm not sure what Prof is talking about yet, don't panic because I'll probably explain it later and you'll always be able to come to class the next day and ask questions. So I'm about to teach you some words that refer to indefinite qualities. You don't know them yet, well, except if you've been studying your note cards, but when we use them as an adjective or a pronoun, they have to match in number and gender. We also might use an indefinite as an adverb, which means it goes before an adjective or another adverb. When we use it as an adverb, it doesn't match anything. It just ends in the letter O. In the past, we've talked about adjectives and pronouns, but we haven't talked about adverbs, so I'm about to show you a screen that's all in gray because you don't have to write it down. I just want to quickly describe what adverbs are to you if you don't remember from your English classes. So if you're not caught up yet, press pause and then press play when you're ready to move on with me. Alright, adverbs. Adverbs can modify, which means like describe, verbs, adjectives, or other adverbs. They often tell how much, how often, how well, or when. Those are adverbs. In English, they often end in ly, not always, and in Spanish, they often end in mente, but again, not always. So generalmente means generally, frecuentemente means frequently. And again, I'm only talking to you about adverbs so you have a general understanding of them as we move on. If I said, Carlos runs quickly, how does Carlos run? Quickly. So quickly is an adverb. Carlos runs a lot. How much does Carlos run? A lot. So those are adverbs. If you don't understand, again, save your questions for class and I'll talk to you about it then. So that's just a quick side note. You didn't have to write any of this down. Let's go back to what we were talking about with indefinites. Okay, some common indefinites used to express quantity, and these are what are important for you to know for the upcoming quiz, the future midterm, final, and just in general in life. Okay, the word demasiado means too, as in too much or too many. For each of these, I'm going to include at least 2 example sentences. I want you to write down the English, and you guys should also like indent the way that I have as well. It'll make your notes easier to read, and I'm probably also going to ask you guys to come back and highlight the purple words. But anyway, the fruit salad has too many strawberries. Later in class, we're going to fill in the Spanish here, so skip a line for that. But also off to the right-hand side, we're also going to write down if our indefinite is being used as an adjective, a pronoun, or an adverb. Well, let's look at this one. I'll do a couple with you. Too many is describing strawberries. Strawberries are a noun, so that means too many is an adjective. So off to the right-hand side, we're just going to write that it's being used as an adjective here. So since it's being used as an adjective, we're going to have to make sure it matches strawberries in number and gender. You do not have to fill in the Spanish sentence now. We're going to go ahead and leave a blank line for that to fill in later. I have another example sentence to use demasiado in. The pear is too big. Just write the English down, skip a line for the Spanish, and off to the right-hand side, let's look and let's think. Is too here an adjective, a pronoun, or an adverb? In this case, too is matching big. Big is an adjective. So since I'm describing an adjective, I'm using an adverb. And that means that it won't match anything. It's just going to end in the letter O. Let's look at our next indefinite. Todo, which could be toda, todos, todas, means all of, everything, everyone, sometimes throughout, each, or whole. You can't eat all of the eggs. So ask yourself, when you say all or all of here, is that an adjective, pronoun, or adverb? And make sure you fill in your answer over here. That's what I'm going to be checking for when I check your notes next. Skip a line for the Spanish answer. Maybe skip another so that your notes are nice and neat. And write down, you don't have the P's. I have all, or I have all of them, or everyone. Off to the right, leave a space to decide if all is an adjective, pronoun, or adverb, and we'll check when we go over them in class. If I've gone too quickly, press pause, and then continue on when you're ready. Okay, our next indefinite is mucho, or mucha, muchos, muchas, which means much, many, a lot, or a lot of. Go ahead and write down, we sell many onions. Over here, write down if you think that's an adjective, adverb, or pronoun. Leave a blank for the Spanish. Perhaps leave another blank line so things are nice and neat. The onions don't weigh much or a lot. Please write this example sentence down. And if you notice, these example sentences are using a lot of your vocab, so be asking yourself as well, do I know this vocab yet? Leave room for the Spanish. Please answer if you think much or a lot is an adjective, adverb, or pronoun to the right. Our next indefinite word is poco, or poca, pocos, pocas, which means few or a little. Our example sentence, this store has few lentils. I'm not going to keep repeating myself about what this is for and this is for. Please make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. The lentils cost little. Our next indefinite is how we say a few, any, one, or some, which is algún, if it's followed by a singular and masculine noun, or if it's not, alguno, alguna, algunos, or algunas. Are you buying any rice or some rice right now? Yes, I have some. Oh, yes, I have some, referring back to rice here. And she ordered some/a few pineapples. Please go ahead and write down these example sentences, leaving room for the Spanish and answering whether you think that those are adjectives, adverbs, or pronouns. Alright, that's it for this set of notes. We still need to talk a little bit more about indefinites because if I go to your topics list, we've talked about some of the most common indefinites, and we talked about adjective versus pronoun versus adverb, but we're still going to need to talk about negative indefinites. But because this video has already lasted 8 minutes, I'll save that for a separate video later, and we'll get to those after we've discussed these. So, what should you be studying and making sure that you know, so when it comes to the day of the quiz, you're not like, oh my god, I didn't know I was supposed to know that. These words in purple are very important. That's why we also made vocab note cards for them. And so you need to know what they mean. And after we've filled in our examples, hopefully you'll understand how they're used as adjectives, pronouns, or adverbs. And you'll get an A on your first quiz for Spanish 2B. Thank you so much for taking your first grammar set of notes for the new trimester. Ciao.